Good morning, Com 181. This is Kelly Arnold, your Com 181 instructor, and this is your second informational video. And I meant to do one sooner, and I just hadn't got to it. I apologize. But I want to start out with this one, just giving you a few reminders. And then I want to talk a little bit about active listening, because that was what your last discussion board was over. And I think that's an important topic that sometimes we overlook. So I want to give a little feedback on that. And then also your next speech. Okay, don't forget to complete your discussion boards and make sure that you are providing feedback or you're responding to at least 2 other people. And that will get you the full amount of credit when you do that. And I just kind of go through in between and just read over them. I always update the grades a couple days a week. Just remember, if you do the discussion board, they're due usually at midnight on a certain day. And an automatic zero Connect puts that in with your speeches and your discussion board. So don't let that freak you out. That just means I haven't got to them yet and I haven't graded them. So give me time to do that. That's not something that I can change. I wish I could. And I think Connect is working on that, because they definitely are aware that we have those issues. But I just don't want you to panic and think, oh gosh, I got a 0 on this, when no, in reality, I just haven't graded them yet. On speeches, give me 3 or 4 days, even up to a week sometimes, because I have multiple classes that I'm working on. And as the speeches get a little bit longer, that will take me a little bit longer. So give me that time period. And then on discussion boards, what I usually do is go in a couple days a week and read over those, update the grades when I can, and then provide some feedback after the deadline is passed, either through a video or under the discussion board section itself. Don't forget to complete your quizzes. I don't want you to put that off to the last minute, even though they're open to the end of the term. Make sure you're completing those each week. Your speech assignments, just remember that all speech assignments must be completed in order to pass the course. And with the next 2 speeches that you have coming up, your informative speech and persuasive, you'll also be required to turn in a formal outline with those. I'm going to do another informational video next week just over outlining. And then there's tons of resources in Blackboard for you to look at to help you put that outline together. Okay. And then there's a whole chapter in the book. I think it's chapter 11. Will also direct you and show you how to outline or create an outline for your presentation. So just remember that that's going to be part of it. Also, part of that is you're going to be required to have 2 to 3 resources to support your ideas, and you're going to have to cite those resources verbally in your speech and also in the outline. And like I said, I'll go over more of that next week when I do that a specific informational video over outlining. Don't forget about your videos when you're filming them. Make sure they're clear. Make sure I can see you. I need to be able to see the front of you. You should be standing up if you can. You should be standing up and presenting to that audience that you've got. That's the whole point of that. You're not presenting directly to the camera like I'm doing, because this is an informational video. It's completely different. When you're public speaking, you're usually standing up behind a podium or up in the front of the group, and you are projecting and presenting your message out to them. So that's what I need to see on this end of the camera, okay? Make sure your volume's up where I can hear you. Make sure the lighting is good where I can see you, because I look for, are you reading your notes? Are you standing up straight? Is your posture good? Are you using hand gestures in the presentation? All those things matter. And sometimes we think little things like that don't matter, but they really do. So make sure that your video, once you've worked on this speech for so long and you've practiced it, you want to be able to present it in your best way. You need to have an audience. That is part of the course. You need to make sure you have, and I've brought down the number of people that you need to have. So you need to work hard to get those people to make sure they are watching you and you are presenting to them. Your next speech, which is the informative speech, and that's where you're going to become the teacher. So you're going to teach us how to do something or about something. That's going to be due on October 27th. So we've got a little bit of time. So I'm going to talk about listening today, but next week will be about outlining and then some further details about your informative speeches. Fall break's coming up. Perfect time for you to work on that informative speech to get that ready. Let's see. So that's going to be an informative speech. If you'll go into Blackboard, this is what I wanted to tell you. Go into Blackboard, scroll down and go under course material and important information. Then under that, click on course material. If you will read through that and you will scroll on down, you'll see information about each speech. You'll have the rubric, you'll have examples, example videos, that you can look at to help prepare you for your informative speech. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see a section on outlining, and it'll give you an example of what an outline should look like, a formal outline should look like. And then at the very bottom, you'll have kind of a what I call a cheat sheet, where you're going to be citing your sources in MLA or APA style. I don't care which one you use, as long as you're consistent. Some of us are used to using one or the other, and I'm okay with that. What that little cheat sheet does, it gives you examples of how to cite things, certain things like a book or an article or a person, and it shows you in both MLA and APA style. So it's just a neat little sheet to have. So it's in Blackboard. You just need to scroll all the way down and look for that information. Okay, this discussion board, or the last discussion board, was on active listening, and that's one of the chapters in the book. And I like to talk about this one because normally, if you were an in-person class, you would be hearing more speeches than you're actually giving. So my in-person people are actually hearing quite a few speeches over the term. So listening is a big part of that. It's important to become an active listener, especially if it has something to do with things that are going to affect you and affect your family. You know, right now we're in the political climate for the election that's coming up, and it's really important that we try to pay attention and really work in active listening, things that are going to affect us or could affect us in the future. And how we do that, listening and active listening are two different things. When you are practicing active listening, sometimes it can be really hard, and you are actually taking in that information, you're processing it and evaluating it. And then you're analyzing it to see, is this worthy information? If so, how does this apply to me? How do I go out there and check to see if it's honest, worthy information? That is active listening. You're kind of taking it full circle. You know, and we don't always participate in active listening. We sometimes just listen to things for entertainment, for fun. That's completely different type situation. So make sure you're working hard. If it's something that matters, then you need to put that critical thinking to use and actually take in that information and evaluate it and say, you know, I believe them. They were sincere. That's good information. They had their statistics to back it up. I can support this. I can get behind this. Or you might say, you know what? They didn't show it here. I didn't hear any statistics. I didn't hear any sources to back that person up, what they're saying. I need to go check this out for myself. And just like when you get to your persuasive speeches, you're going to be persuading your audience about something that you're passionate about and that's important to you. So you're going to do your homework. To be a responsible speaker, you have to do your homework on that and make sure that you're not only voicing your opinion, which is important, but it's not enough. You're going to have to use some other sources to support your ideas as well. So some things you can do to be a better listener is try to avoid those distractions that we all get when we're in a situation where we're listening to a speaker. Try to shut those things out, turn that phone off, put it away, put other stuff that you might be working on, unless you're taking notes. And again, some people like to take notes, and that actually helps them listen better. I'm one of those people. I know it's important for me to jot things down because then I can tend to pay more attention to what the person's saying. Try to avoid prejudging the speaker, or maybe just being distracted by what they have on or what they're wearing or a mannerism. Try to shut those things down. We all bring experience and we all bring personal knowledge when we come to listen to a speaker. And sometimes that can be distracting. Our personal lives can be distracting. So we need to try to let those things go and really focus in on what they're saying. There's no way we can remember everything that a speaker says, but we can think about things. If they fluctuate their voice and they have a powerful statement, we might want to remember that or hold on to those things. The better the speech is organized and structured in a manner that the audience could follow, the more they're going to get across, because the audience gets to hear it one time. You know, when they're listening to a presentation, they're not going back and listening to recordings typically. They usually hear it one time. And so it's important that a speaker be organized and they can give out the information at a level that everybody can understand it, and it's clear and it's precise and people can follow it. Like, that's why it's important to have main points. People can usually remember 3 main points. They usually can remember part of your introduction and definitely your conclusion. So just some things to think about on active listening, and I hope you'll practice that. And it is something that we need to practice. We all do to be better listeners. Thank you so much, and I'll have another video next week on outlining so we can start getting you prepared for your informative speech. Have a great day. Bye-bye.